So imagine that you are a necromancer. You're trying to become a lich, and something goes wrong in the ceremony. And instead of being turned into this super intelligent, super dangerous, immortal lich, you become something a little bit different. Still scary, still dangerous, but not quite what you were expecting. So it's time to take a look at yet another creepy foe from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Last time we looked at the Alep, and this week I want to look at the Boneclaw. Two very different enemies, different types of creatures, both undead, but both with a different level of fright that they can bring to either your Halloween one-shot or to your campaign if you want to go a little bit darker as we get closer to Halloween. So what is a Boneclaw? Other than a really large, terrifying looking skeletal creature with these huge razor talons on its fingers and the size of its fingers as well. I mean, its hand is larger than the torso of most individuals, especially as being a large creature. But what is its nature? How does it come about? So a bone claw is created when a wizard attempts to become a lich, and the ceremony, the ritual goes wrong. The phylactery and the soul aren't able to bind. Maybe the soul is weak or the phylactery is flawed, and something happens in that transference process. And instead of just being obliterated, or instead of the wizard just kind of coming back and learning from their mistakes, they get transformed into this bone claw. Now, a Boneclaw has limited immortality, not quite the same as a Lich, in that its immortality exists as long as the Boneclaw's new master survives. So when a Boneclaw is created, it seeks out the closest evil being that it can find, and it dedicates itself to the service of this individual, basically becoming its servant, becoming a slave, becoming obedient to them in every way. And even if a group of player characters, a group of adventurers comes across a Boneclaw, manages to slay it, in a few days, it comes back to life and it appears close to its master. So you can imagine, as a character, you've killed this thing, you've gone up against this epic creature, you've destroyed it, and then it comes back. And you kill it again. It comes back. And you got to figure out, how do we kill this thing? What's more frightening than a monster that you can't seem to kill, that somehow it always ends up coming back to you and stalking after you to take you down? And the Boneclaw would do that. The Boneclaw loves torture. It loves to cause pain and inflict torture on its victims, and it has some really interesting ways that it can do that. So the Boneclaw is a CR12 chaotic evil large undead. So this is something that's good for sort of mid to higher level parties, as with its size, with its challenge rating, it's got some serious damage that it can dish out. And it has a lot of resistances. It has the ability to regenerate. It has stealth and teleport abilities. So there's a lot of things that can make this really interesting foe to throw in at your party. So we already talked about the idea that it can't be destroyed while its master lives. There's an interesting story element that you can add there as well. Now the party has to find this thing's master, not only so they can kill the Boneclaw and stop it from coming back after them over and over and over again. Depending on your type of adventuring party, typically they want to take down the big bad evil guy, and so they have to go and hunt for this master of the Boneclaw, and that'll open up some other story elements in there. So one of the things that really makes a Boneclaw frightening is that it has the ability to grab onto somebody, onto a creature, and then it can teleport away with them. And when it does so, it can basically take them away, and it does so that it can separate itself from the rest of its allies, the creature that it's taken, and then it goes to work just causing pain and torture and eventually consuming this individual. So you imagine there's a party, you're fighting against this thing, it grabs onto one of your friends and just poof, it disappears. And it does so into shadow. So it goes from shadow to shadow, disappears into the shadows. Now you gotta find this thing that's taking your friend. And as long as it has a grab, it can continue to deal damage to it. So there you have it. Take a look at the Boneclaw if you want something that's big and bad and ugly and looks really, really vicious, has the ability to do some necrotic and piercing damage, and can like snatch creatures and player characters and teleport them away, and something that can potentially lead to a bigger story arc if your one shot leads into something more, or if you're using it in your general campaign. Be sure to check out Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes as well for some other really grotesque bad guys for this time of year. And until next time, happy gaming.